All right. I would like to welcome Duane Harvey. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh man, I mean, I'm so glad you're here. I got so many questions for you. I mean, I'm trying to be there. I'm trying to get there.
We all are. We all are.
So you're down in Tallahassee, Florida, which is I wish I had your weather right about now because I'm up here in VA. What was it like growing up in? I'm assuming you're from Tallahassee, but please tell me, where are you from? How did how did
Well,
this all start?
I'm originally from a little small town
Hmm.
called Crawfordville, Florida, which is right below Tallahassee.
Ah, okay,
It's in a different county. It's in Wakulla County. And I
okay.
grew up, it's the country. I grew up in the country um, on lots of land, dirt roads, the whole country experience. But I went to a wonderful church there while I was growing up called Pilgrim Rest Primitive Baptist Church.
Okay.
And in that church, it was a family church, a huge family church, the Harveys. And all of them could sing.
Okay.
All of them could sing. And from the age of 3, my mom tells a story about how I had to be in the robe or whatever they were wearing.
The choir
At the
robes.
age 3, I had to have one. And I was the only child singing in the choir at 3 years old. Everybody
Right,
else was
right.
sitting in the audience where they were supposed to be.
Right,
But
right.
I was sitting and singing in the choir. And she said she knew something was special about me. And I think my aunt, who has a voice out of this world, kind of shepherded me and helped develop my gifts in music. She awesome singer, and and later sang with me
Okay.
when I formed the group DeWayne Harvey and Unrestrained Praise. But at the age of 16,
Hmm.
I was directing that choir.
At
At
16.
No,
Wow.
at 13, I
At
started
13. Wow.
directing that choir.
So you were anointed early.
Yeah, that's what. And
Wow.
then at 16, I remember singing one Sunday. We had a guest preacher come in, and he started preaching, gave his text, and all of a sudden he turned around and looked at me sitting in that choir stand, and he said, "Young man, the Lord said that you're going to be great in the field of gospel music."
Wow.
And he's going to take you places that you never thought you could go, and you're going to perform and sing with some of the greatest singers in gospel
Wow.
music.
That's
And that
incredible.
was at age 16. And I won't tell
Wow.
you how far I've come from there, but that,
Look, you can tell me
but
offline.
but everything he said has come to pass, and it's
Okay.
it's it's very strange because I knew I had a gift. My mom got married when maybe I was 11, and we
Okay.
moved from the little country town to the Tallahassee area, and but we still were kind of country. We
Hmm.
lived on 8 acres of land, and there was nobody close to us.
Wow.
So when me and my brother wanted to play or do something, we would go on the porch,
Okay.
and I would hear all these wonderful songs, and I sing them, and we sing them and record them on a tape recorder, and I put them in a shoebox because I'd say, um, I hear these songs, we sing these songs, but they're not for me.
Right.
Because at the time, listening at all the male voices that were out there, I didn't think I sounded like anybody. So it wasn't for me to do anything with the songs. It
Right.
was just a hobby, just a game that we played.
Got it. Okay.
And so as I grew older, went to college at the wonderful Florida A&M University
Uh oh.
in Tallahassee. Um, I joined the FAMU Gospel Choir
Okay.
and got to record there. And I was one of the singers. I led songs in the choir. And the rest is history. Graduated, moved to Sarasota, Florida, and
Okay.
hooked up with the West Coast Gospel Chorus of Florida and started recording with them. And
Right.
then the Lord said it was time to start a group. So I started Duane Harvey and Unrestrained Praise with 4 people,
Wow.
which turned into 75.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it turned into
Wow.
75.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
traveled with a choir for years. And on next year, we're going to bring a project back out from that choir.
Okay.
The choir is coming back together after all this time.
Right.
And so traveled with the choir, did all of those things. And it was just strange how the Lord would speak to me even when I was very young.
Sure.
And he said, when I started the choir, he said, Duane, you're going to have a church, and the church is going to be named the Greater Blessings Tabernacle of Praise. And I
Wow.
told them that when it was only 4 members.
Mm-hmm.
I said, the Lord said one day it's going to be a church, and this is what it's going to be.
Right.
And everything that he said has come to pass.
Isn't that
But
something though?
yeah, it's something. And as I was traveling and going, like I told the story, I never thought I was the lead singer. So even though I formed the groups, my name headlined the groups,
Right.
I would hear these wonderful songs, write these wonderful songs. I would always push other people to lead the songs.
Got
So
it.
we have an album of 12 songs, and you may hear my voice one time because I always had in the back of my mind,
Right.
I don't sound like nobody else. So if I don't sound like anybody else, it must not be what the world wants to hear. Let me give some of the people who can do all these runs and all these riffs and all these
Sure.
kinds of things
Sure.
and let them lead. But I found out in traveling and in going with what I call divas and devos, these people could sing. I found out that the anointing rested on me. And it was when I sing and when I moved by the Spirit that I
Right.
saw people being healed of cancer, people being delivered, people being set free. And I said, oh, I'm on to something here. It wasn't
Mm.
necessarily all the other stuff. It was in my saying yes and going when the Lord told me to go that I saw all these wonderful things happen. So I say that to bring you to the present time. It's
Mm.
been now 16 years of pastoring the Greater Blessings Tabernacle of Praise,
Really?
and I released the album. I think Unrestrained Praise was with Ty Scott, and then Alejo International Records with Al the Bishop Hop and Dr. Leonard Scott
Okay.
on Ty Scott Records. And then we matriculated, but they were all through my record company, so I had the sense back then to broker deals through my own record company.
Smart move.
And so now the record company is almost 25, it's 25 or plus years old.
Wow.
And I released a couple years ago, I wrote a whole CD except one song, all the songs are mine, for Angela Spivey, and that did really well. He
Mm-hmm.
keeps his promise. And I did some writing for Dorothy Norwood as well, and so many other artists, but those are the two big ones that everybody knows that
Right. But now,
you can
do
hear
you
some of them.
do you actually play? Do you like write? Do you play piano? Do you play organ?
I say no, but I can pick
Okay.
it out. I'm not as talented or as gifted. You know, I grew up
Right.
in band playing an instrument. I
Sure.
played the baritone in the band,
Okay.
so I can play the chords to get through the song and the melody to get some of those who are more talented than I am to really do everything that needs to be done with a song.
Right.
But probably if I worked at it and worked at it and worked at it, but
Right.
um, that's not my
You said you just
forte.
passed that on. You like you said pass that on to somebody else.
Pass that on to
Now,
somebody else.
how do you like? What's your formula for working on a song? I'm just curious from a gospel perspective. I'm from New York, so and I write. I have my formula would be piano, and then I build around depending on what type of song it is. But from a gospel perspective, do you start off when you're writing? You
I
just piano.
always start with piano.
Here we go.
Always.
Yes.
I always start with piano. On every song, I always start with piano and then I add everything else to it. But as far as developing a song, I usually tell people I'm not a writer.
Okay.
I hear. I'm an interpreter. And my songs don't come in pieces like a verse comes here and then it all comes at the same time.
That's incredible.
Yeah, most of it just comes at the same time, and it's amazing working in. You know, I have a younger guy who actually traveled with me from the age of 16,
Oh wow.
who I let co-produce everything with me,
Okay.
and he brings that younger vibe and younger
Right.
flavor and we bounce ideas off each other and it's just a wonderful working relationship. His name is Aiton Porter.
Okay.
And on pretty much anything that I'm on, anything that I produce for others, I bring him in because I love getting the second ear of a
Right.
different generation.
Right. That's a good look. That's a really good idea. Into he can hone his skills.
Yeah. He's
Wow.
by now he'll run rings around me. He just he's awesome.
That's good. That's good. That's good to know. I mean, being attracted to the music business. Now, I know you do have your own label.
Yes.
How did you start your own record label, and what took you to that point to say, you know what, if you were on a label before, which I'm assuming you were,
Mhm.
what did you say to yourself? You know what, I think I'm going to start my own label.
Well, the number one thing that I can share with anybody out there, and if you know me, and your audience may not know me,
They will.
I have 5 degrees, so
Wow.
I'm a lifelong learner. Always been a learner,
Okay.
always.
Yep.
I have a degree in business. I have a master's in management. I have an MBA. I have a doctorate in health administration. And then I went back and got a registered nursing degree.
Oh wow, nice.
So a lot of degrees. But when I came into music,
Hmm.
one of the things that I wanted to do was educate myself. And I educated myself on all aspects of music. And like I said, God blessed me where I ran into some wonderful people. It was all designed by God.
Right.
Ran into some wonderful people that helped shepherd me and teach me about the industry called gospel music.
Right.
Um, I've never been on any project without my record label.
Okay.
So when I was very young, because I was educated, I knew to form my record label and to tie the record label in with another label. And
Smart.
so when I was released on Ty Scott Records, that was a project between Innovative Records and Ty Scott.
Okay.
When I moved to Alejo International Records, that was between Innovative Records and Alejo. And it wasn't until I released The Church that I had learned so much from all of those record companies that
Right.
I was able to totally release The Church on my own label by itself. And the Greater Blessings Praise Team album was released on my own label by itself. And now here I am again. Now I'm into the habit. I've been doing this for a while. Although the music industry is changing, you just have to keep educating yourself
That's right.
so that you know what's happening, how to do what we do. This is a wonderful time. I've never seen it before in my life. Thought I never would um, see it ever, where
Right.
our music can go anywhere. This digital age has totally changed
Is
the game.
isn't it incredible? Isn't
It
it
is
incredible?
incredible.
Yes, indeed.
But
Yes,
still,
indeed.
even in saying that, it
Right.
starts with a great song. And you
Right.
say, well, how did I get a music um, record label? Well, the seed for my record label, it's not just I jumped out there and said I have a record label.
Right.
No, I went to work and worked a job, had the money and had the resources
Right.
to do a record label. I spent years managing and cultivating nursing homes, assisted living facilities, independent living facilities, rehab clinics. I owned and operated
Wow.
those facilities for others. I was in Indianapolis and I was in Florida
Okay.
with facilities. So I did that while at the same time I was doing gospel. Gospel was like my side job, but my full time ministry was
Right.
ministering to those who were aged and older. And I learned how
That's
to do it
nice.
very well. And so, whatever people say, well, I'm just going to jump out in this gospel music industry. Well,
Right.
gospel doesn't pay like that.
Right.
So, I had to have a foundation.
That's right. You had to have a
Mhm.
backup. The
I
backup
had
to
to
the
have, no,
backup.
well, that wasn't my backup. That was my priority.
Primary. That's right. That's right.
That was
And
my
then the
primary
music thing
source
was the
of
backup.
eating,
There we go.
and the music was the backup.
Right.
And then it still is the backup until it can generate as much funds
Right.
as the other business entities can. Music, you have to have a passion for it, and I think you have to be called to it, and then understand the call that you have to the music.
Sure.
Is it a local call? Is it your local church call? Is it a local community call? Is it a national call? Where has God called you? Because I believe when He calls you, He also provides or makes a way for the resources to support what He called.
I totally agree.
And so,
Totally.
figuring out where He called you, where you go, what you do is the biggest thing in life. I was trained as a businessman, so owning a record company is business.
That's right.
It's my training. So it's not like I was far fetched off.
Right.
I was just building on the skills that I already had.
Right, and there's so
And
many young people that don't understand that this is they call it the music business for a reason,
mhm,
and so many young people just don't understand. Like you said, you have to pay your dues to get to that point where if you know what, I'm not going to sign to a major label. Let me go to and let me start my own label and just figure it out, study, learn the game. You have to be a student of the game, and that's what you did, which is great. I commend you for
and
that.
it's not that I couldn't have signed with a major label.
Right, that's
Yeah,
right.
it's not that I couldn't. I had offers, but for me and
Right,
what I wanted to do and my business prowess of knowing what to move, how to move, and how who was going to reap the benefits from what I did,
absolutely
I made conscious choices to do it this way, and I thank
smart.
God for the choices that I made because I still see people who you know about them,
Sure,
but they're struggling. You've heard their music for years, but they're struggling.
absolutely.
And I just believe that the gift makes room for us. And it'll bring us before great men, as the Bible said. Makes room to bring us before great men. And his will for me is
Right,
that I prosper. So you have to analyze what the Lord gave you, where he's taking you, and how he wants you to use it.
I
And
totally
then
agree.
bring in all your skills.
Totally agree. Now, there's so much. Like I said, we had to do about 3 or 4 podcasts because you got so much. Look, there's so much knowledge. We just got to do a brain dump and just take all that knowledge you have in that head of yours, and it's, we'll do it, but we'll get there.
Yeah,
But
we'll
what I
get
want to know is, you got into gospel music. You from a young boy and then young man, and you got into the game. You got educated, which was, I commend you for that. Knowing what business really is, because some folks think they know,
oh,
but they don't know.
a
That's right.
lot of folk
That's
think they
right.
know and they
It's
don't.
one thing to assume, and it's another
Hmm.
thing to know. And I'm glad
Yes,
that you did that. And I commend you for ownership, owning your music, owning your publishing, owning
yes,
you control everything. So
yes.
you know when those checks come in, if you're doing a tour with your group, and
Hmm.
you guys go out on tour, whatever kind of contracts you negotiate, you know exactly what's coming in. Because
Yes,
most artists in the music business, what they tend to do is they leave it up to the manager, leave it up to the record company, and then the record company will give them 1,000 here, 500 there. In the meantime, there's 200 and 300,000 coming in at a time,
mm,
and that's why
yeah,
I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing.
yeah. But that's my beef with gospel music in general from the
Right.
artist side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of artists did it very well, and many didn't do it well. But in my all the years I've been in what has helped me is
Right.
you have to be approachable to people.
That's right.
Why do you need a manager and you have nothing to manage? You
Preach.
don't need a manager.
That's right.
You need to learn how to be nice to people because it's people that buy what you're trying to sell. It's
Absolutely.
people that bring you to their church. It's people that open their arms to you. It's people that share the next story about you or share how your music affects. It's people. So to me, I can never be an untouchable gospel art. I don't care what comes my way.
Right.
That's
Right.
never going to be in my vocabulary because it's the good news. Now, I can understand when it gets too heavy and people are just bothering you,
Sure.
but in gospel music, as we see the market shrink,
Right.
as we see what's happening with coronavirus and sending everybody to digital platforming to get messages out,
Sure.
it's even more of a time to be personable, to be touchable, to be the gospel music track I'm on is just another facet of my ministry. And what I learned over the years is there's a purpose that God has all of us here.
Yes,
The
indeed.
first purpose is to be a praise unto Him in the earth, and then the second purpose is to invite somebody to Him. Those are our purposes.
Indeed.
So how do we get our purposes mixed up? So we got to be the praise and we got to live a life and show people that it's good over here. I'm
Right.
living good over here. Come
That's
on,
right.
join me over here.
That's right.
Everything that I need is over here. It won't be without bumps and bruises, and there won't be a time that you won't go through trials.
Right.
But it's how you navigate through life. And I've just learned in life, I preached a message about 3, 4 weeks ago that says, my interpretation
Okay.
is everything. Meaning the way I look at anything I'm going through, it sets me up to make choices.
Right.
And I can look at it as being half empty. If I look at it half empty, I'm going to make one set of choices. But if I look at it half full, I'm going to make another set of choices.
Mm-hmm.
I just choose to make positive choices no matter what situation is going on, how crazy it is.
Right.
I know God is in there with me. So
All the
I'm
time.
coming out on top. It's gonna
All the
work for
time.
my good.
All the
I don't
time.
care what it is. I
That's
may
right.
be crying today. It's still gonna work for my good.
That's right. Well, my mom used to tell me he didn't bring you this far to leave you.
Oh no.
And you're absolutely right. I totally agree 1,000% of what you just said. I mean, you just pretty much, I don't even know how to follow it up, man. You got me sitting here tapping my foot.
Well, it's something as you live life,
Sure. Sure.
you learn what's really important.
Absolutely.
And what's
Absolutely.
really important, number one, is my relationship with God.
Right.
And number two, my family. I can't get rid of them.
Right.
You know, you can try, you can
That's right. You can
distance them or
try.
whatever, but
But look, for a couple of days.
it's your life.
That's
So
right.
you got to make that unity strong, and then all of the Bible says it's like this: when you do first seek Him,
Right.
then all the other things will be added. So
Absolutely.
if I can tell the young people who are trying not to come to church anymore, first seek Him,
Right.
then all the other things will be added.
I think so many young people are chasing this dream. So many people they're chasing everything but what you just mentioned. They're not
Yeah,
really focusing on when we grew up, I'm up there, I'm up there. So when we grew up, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and when I grew up in a Pentecostal church.
yeah,
And then we moved over to a Baptist church. But I was in church. I remember it was 7 days a week. And it
pretty
was 7
much.
days a week. Friday night was all night prayer.
Uh huh.
That's just the way I grew up.
Yeah.
So no matter what I see in life, I know in the back of my mind what my mother told me what to and not to do. It's like, don't touch that stove because it's hot,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And a lot of these young people just don't have that foundation, which you have. You
Yeah.
have a great spiritual foundation. I can feel it through the screen.
Yes,
It's a
sir.
great
I do.
spiritual foundation. You have the knowledge. You've educated yourself to know dealing with reality, dealing with life. There are, like you said, there are ups and downs, and you're gonna bump your head a couple of times. That's just what it
Yeah.
is. But
Yeah.
all you got to do is give it to him. If you give it to him, my mom always told me, if you give it to him, he ain't gonna lead you wrong. He ain't gonna lead you
Oh,
wrong.
and I've been so blessed.
Yeah.
The magnitude
Right.
of the blessings my family can't even comprehend. I remember graduating from college and told my aunt
Hmm.
I wasn't taking a job less than $50,000 a year, and she looked at me but she didn't mean any harm.
Sure. Sure.
She looked at me and said, "You got too big of a dream. That can't happen. We don't make that kind of money."
Mm.
And instead of getting upset with her,
Right.
it actually fueled me.
Right.
And I did what I said I was going to do.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
today, looking at how the Lord blessed me and looking at the same people who thought it could not be done,
Right.
um, they just marvel. I tell the story. I live in a pretty nice sized house in Tallahassee, Florida.
Hmm.
And when I open the door and I walk out on my porch in my yard, across the street from me
Right.
is the remodeled plantation house, the master's house.
Wow. Wow.
And behind the master's house are the remodeled slave houses that my ancestors used to live in.
Incredible.
So to
Wow.
be able to walk out my house and every day I have a reminder, and I feel like at my house
Hmm.
I'm walking on holy
Absolutely.
ground. Because of all the people who had to work so that I could have a house that's bigger than the master's house, which sits across the street,
Right.
which our community rents out for weddings and all kinds of things, and
Okay.
the slave quarters to which they turn into little bridal suites for bridal parties and stuff to stay in.
That's mind
Uh,
blowing.
yeah, it's mind blowing,
It is.
and to
It
and to
is.
see what God did, who took a guy who grew up very poor. Um, I was in the band in high school, but
Right.
we would have to go out of town for football games to play with the football game. And what I would do was I would save my lunch money about $1.20 a day. I
Right.
wouldn't eat lunch in order that I would have $5 or $6 at the end. So when the bus stopped after the game to McDonald's, I had
Wow.
money to get something to eat.
Right.
And so, although our children never lived those experiences,
Right.
those are the experiences that made me who I am and made
Right.
me appreciate
I was getting
what the
ready to
Lord
say
has done in my
I was
life.
getting ready to say that you have a
Mm,
great appreciation for life and with the
yeah,
gift that God gave you, which is incredible, and I commend you for that. I
yes.
commend you for that. Now I got to ask you about this incredible song that I heard, and I listened to it 6 times. I didn't listen to it one time. I listened to it 6 times.
Yeah.
So I got to say the name of the song is "What the Lord Allows," and I love the song. It's a great song, and it should do extremely well because obviously you have the great Fred Hammond, the legendary
Oh,
Fred Hammond from the great gospel great. How did you come up with that song, and how did you get a hold of Fred Hammond?
well, you may think it's strange, but one Sunday morning,
Hmm.
I was going to church and I was fussing with God. I was mad, tears streaming down my face.
Right,
God, I'm in this situation and that situation, and I'm trying to do what you're telling me to do, but here I am, one situation and you're sending them all at the same time. I'm
right,
sick of it. I'm tired. And I
right.
was crying, and then I pulled up to the church. Um, God didn't say nothing while I was doing all my complaining. I pulled up to the church. I got myself together. I knew I had to go in and preach. Walked up the steps to the door of the church, opened the door, and all of a sudden I start hearing what the Lord allows.
Mm.
And I called the praise team. I said, I'm hearing a new song. I'm hearing a new song. I taught the song in 5 minutes, sang the song in the service. Service was over.
Wait. Was it the entire song?
Yes,
Incredible. Wow.
I
Wow.
sang the song in the
Wow.
service that day.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it was amazing. And that was God answering me about all the complaining I did get into the church.
Right.
He said, what I allow is what you need. Because if I'm everything to you, then you understand that all things are working together for your good.
Absolutely.
That first verse takes me out every time. It says, while you're riding through your storm, you are not alone. God controls the wind and
Right.
he controls the wave. The storm must obey every word that he says because he's everything to you,
Indeed.
everything to you. And that means, hey, step back. God's got you. Let him work. He's working in your favor, even when it doesn't look like, even when it
Right.
goes through trials. He's not leaving you. He's
That's right.
taking you there for a reason. And so you got to start approaching it. Now, Lord, you got me here. What am I supposed to get out of it? And
Right.
Lord,
Right.
if it's real bad, help me learn it quickly so I can move past this.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
a lady when my mom got married, she moved us to a Pentecostal church.
Okay.
And one of the favorite things of one of the ladies who stayed down the street from us, she would always say these words to me. She said, Duane, this too shall pass.
That's it.
And no
That's it.
matter what I enter, I hear that lady saying that in my ear, this too shall pass. And you got to live your life like that, no matter what
Absolutely.
situation. It's going to pass.
Absolutely.
Now,
Yes.
how are you going to let it pass? Angry, bitter? Are
We
you
about to
going to
have
learn the
church. We about
lessons
to have church up in
and
here
move
now.
on?
We done went from the podcast to the pulpit. You should. I wish you could see my foot. I'm just
I,
tapping my foot like, oh my god, this is what my mom used to tell me. Oh
Well,
wow.
it's who I am, and
Yes.
the unfortunate thing is I can't separate it. I'm going to be who God called me to be wherever
Absolutely.
I am and
That's
whatever
right.
platform that I'm on.
That's right. You just keep
When
doing what you're doing, man. Because you got
I'm
my
in the
foot.
bank, when I'm in
Right.
the bank talking to
Right.
bankers, if they open that door,
Right.
I'm going straight for what I know. They'll
Right.
ask
Right.
me, "Well, how did you accumulate all of that?" That's all I need. The
Right.
Lord did it for me.
That's right.
I'm
Absolutely.
walking straight in the door.
Right.
And when I start saying what the Lord did, we overcome by the words of our testimony.
Hmm.
Anything I want, they provide.
Right.
Because it's God giving me the open door to share him. And thus he becomes glorified, not me. And then when he becomes glorified, he delights in our praises. And then he
Amen.
gives us the desires of our heart.
Amen.
And so
Amen.
you just got to learn that life is connected,
Yes, it
and it's
is.
really how you approach and how you make it. Um, every day I get up, this is going to be a good day. God's
Mhm.
about to do something good. He's going to do
Right.
so. I'm already expecting. I'm already anticipating. I'm
Right.
already wondering. You done already blown my mind all these years. What more do you have
Right.
that you can do? And I
Got a
know
lot
he can
more.
do so
He's got
much more
so
that
much
we
more.
can't even comprehend.
That's right. That's right. Now, how did you get in touch with? How did Fred Hammond come on to this song? Because you wrote the song, you walked into church, and boom, you started singing the song. So that's the first mind blower right there. The
Uh-huh.
second mind blower is that you can say, hey, Fred, listen, because Fred Hammond, obviously, he's from the group called Commission,
Yes,
which
he is.
was back in the '80s.
Hmm.
How did you guys link up to put that great video together? Which I'm going to put in the description of the podcast once it's released, by the way.
Well, I tell this story all the time. When I start educating myself,
Right.
I tell I'm a baby of the Gospel Music Workshop of America,
Hmm.
the Thomas Dorsey Convention, and places like that, the Bobby Jones
Yes.
retreats, and all of those things. I'm a product of them. And when I was a product of them, I would always meet people.
Right.
I never was a run behind person. Oh, that's a star. And no, God always afforded me the opportunity to connect with people.
Right.
Either somebody would introduce me and I just be me, just nice. That's why you always are kind to people because you never know. You
Absolutely.
never know. I remember needing a publicist, and a friend of mine said, "You need somebody different. I have the person that you need." He's in New York City. His name is Angelo Erlaby. And actually,
Yes.
the guy that introduced me to Angelo bears the same name that you do. His name is Ricardo Cantrell.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And he said, "No, Duane, you need somebody special." And I know just the person. He was responsible for DMX. He made DMX famous and
Yes, he
all
did.
of these people and so on and so forth. And so he took me to meet Angelo El. Now, listen, I lived in Florida.
Right.
The guy was doing some publicity for me. He knew somebody else, and then he decided, "I'll take you to meet him."
Right.
And he took me to meet him, and there was a connection because I wasn't just a client. I became a friend.
He's a great
And he
guy.
said, "No matter what's going on, Dr. Harvey, you're going to always be my client. You're going to all." And then I found myself in a situation where I was in my late 20s, early 30s, sitting down to tables eating with Roberta Flack, Dionne Warwick,
Right. Right.
um, Freddie Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
Bev Smith, all these great people
Right.
that I only saw on television. I heard their music, but I'd be in New York. He said, "Oh, come go with me here." And it
Right.
opened the door. Donna Lawrence. It was because of him I sat down with Donna. And it was the same way. I met Fred through, I think it was either Bishop Leonard Scott or either Al the Bishop Hobbs.
Okay.
One of them first introduced us, and then we just remained cordial. And about before I did what the Lord allowed, 6 years previous to that, Fred was supposed to join me on another song,
Okay.
but I got frustrated with the people who I was working with. I'm like, "Fred, I'll have to call you back. I'm
Right.
thinking I just needed a couple months break."
Right.
But that month turned into 6 years.
Wow. It wasn't the right time.
It just wasn't the right time.
Right.
And so when another guy who's been with me, uh, Damon Stewart, when I first started, who works radio for me and marketing, he was instrumental. He says, "You're my client forever." I'm like, how do
Wow.
these people who work with some of the biggest names in the industry
Right.
attach to me and won't let me go? It's the grace of God.
It's a bigger name. This is a
Yeah,
bigger name.
yeah, it's greater than that
That's
because
right.
looking at the situation, you wouldn't see how. But
Right.
God knew when He spoke when I was 16 that He was going to give all the resources and make everything available. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
between me and Damon, we reached out to Fred again,
Mm-hmm.
and Fred said, "Sure, no problem." Then I sent Fred the song,
Right.
and Fred said, I done heard this song before. Where have I heard this song? I have heard this song. And so I said, Fred, remember when you came to Tallahassee?
Right.
I opened up for you, and this is the song that I sung.
Ah,
So he had, in fact, heard the song.
he
And Fred
remembered
is
that
such,
song.
uh-huh,
Wow.
Fred is such an awesome guy. He's older than I am, and so
Hmm.
he's like a big brother. He's always trying to pour into me, again, knowledge,
Right.
information, to make sure I have and know everything that's going on and how this works and how he doesn't withhold anything.
That's great.
Whatever he can provide for me, he does. And I met his family. I met friends, the studio. They just wonderful people,
Wow.
very
Wow.
hospitable.
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
just good people. But I'm good people too.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
good people
Absolutely.
be good people, and that's just how life works. So it's not that I went looking for a star. I just became friends with people who kept introducing, kept opening doors. And
Right.
I often tell this story about, I believe it was Kansas City. There was a little guy named Kirk Franklin, J.J. Harrison,
Sure.
James Fortune, me, and some
And
other people
James Fortune. Absolutely.
standing around a piano
Okay.
when nobody's music was out there like that. Thinking about what we were going to do, trying to get all the music heard, trying to make a name. And
Hmm.
you get back and you look at it, and I often would go back to that and say, Lord, I was around the piano with those guys, and you
Right.
blessed all those guys. When is my time coming?
Right.
And sometimes I didn't understand it. But then I look on the ministry side of it. I've seen so many people healed of cancer, so many people healed of AIDS and HIV because I sang, and I prayed. So many people who were barren that couldn't have babies that all of a sudden miraculously had a baby when I prayed for them. And I wouldn't
Hmm.
change those experiences for nothing in the world.
Right.
And now here I am, older, and here this song, What the Lord Allows, is taking off like wildfire.
It's a
I
great
mean,
song. It's a great
it's
song.
just going. And before I even put it out, the team didn't tell me, but they dropped it on YouTube. And I think in the first month, it had garnered 100,000 views.
Wow.
It's just like amazing to me. Even the record companies in the city, radio stations in the city that I live,
Right.
they went. I said, the song's not out. They called me immediately.
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
what are y'all talking? It was the radio stations that told me the song was already out on.
It's on YouTube. What do you mean the song's not out?
I'm like, no, the song's not out.
Right.
It's
Right.
so they pulled it from YouTube and start playing it in my hometown like
Unbelievable.
wildfire, and
Unbelievable.
it's just taken off. It's just hitting national radio this month.
Okay.
So I'm looking for great things because the song has a message. And when I decided to put it out, it was during the pandemic.
Okay.
It was actually the beginning of the pandemic when me and Fred recorded it.
Ah.
And
Okay.
if you look at the video, I'm talking about that. Fred, you know how I was dealing with stuff during the pandemic. And
Right.
the Lord gave me this song.
Right.
And that was
Right.
my saying. What the Lord allows. We don't know why the Lord has allowed coronavirus to come, but we do know whatever it's in his hands, and he has something better for us.
Right.
You know, when they came out with the vaccinations,
Hmm.
my family was skeptical. We don't want to take the vaccination. We're going to wait and see. I said, I'm going to pray and seek the Lord.
Right.
So I prayed, sought the Lord. The Lord said, take the vaccination. You going to take the vaccination? I said, yeah, the Lord told me to take the vaccination. So I took the vaccination. 2 weeks after I was vaccinated,
Mhm.
I was hit with COVID.
You got to be kidding me.
Uh-uh.
Wow.
I said,
Which vaccine
Lord,
did you do? Did you do the
I
Moderna
did the
or?
Pfizer.
Okay, that's what I did. Yeah. Wow.
And when I got COVID, the only thing I had for 5 days was an excruciating headache. And I
Okay.
was just tired. I didn't have no breathing problems. I
Isn't
didn't
that
have
something?
nothing. I had nothing. And I said, you got to understand the leading of the Holy Spirit and following God.
Yes,
See, had I
indeed.
followed y'all, I might not be here today.
That's right.
But God said, take it. when y'all was saying we gonna wait to see if y'all grow tails, grow extra ears, and do all of that.
He
But
said,
uh-huh, they wait to see if
he
extra
said,
arms and limbs and
look at the eye in the middle of
tails
the
and
head.
eyes in the middle of the head. But I'm so grateful, and I've been sharing my testimony when I get an opportunity.
Sure,
That
absolutely.
that vaccination saved my life. I deal with high blood pressure. I deal with diabetes, and
Okay.
I'm going to say it like this: I may be just a little bit overweight.
Hmm.
All
Hmm.
the things that the doctors say you should not be,
What they call the underlying conditions.
the underlying
Here we go.
conditions.
Yep.
But through God and His infinite wisdom,
Yes, sir.
and it's for me. I can't tell anybody what to do. All I can tell them to do is pray and seek the Lord for themselves. But
Right.
for me, I believe God guiding me to take that vaccination saved my life
I believe so
because
too.
I know two other people. I have a friend who was in the hospital 165 days with COVID. I had
Wow.
two other people that I knew very close to me got it, and they were almost put on ventilators. I know so many people who were on ventilators
Wow.
and all of that. And all I had was a headache and just slept. God be the glory for whoever made these vaccinations for the
Amen.
thought that he put in their minds. And so
Amen.
I'm a proponent of the vaccination. I tell people wherever you go, all my family has been vaccinated now because
Good.
once I caught it and they looked around and said, he ain't got nothing but a headache.
Wow.
That was
That's
all they
amazing.
needed when they
That's
saw the
amazing.
other people dying.
Right.
So it
And
was like,
that
how fast can we get this?
that virus was, man, it did a
Mhm.
ooh.
Devastating. I did so many funerals in 2020 that it'll make your head spin.
Wow.
And they weren't just funerals. I lost my sister-in-law. I lost my
Wow.
mother-in-law. I
Wow.
lost my aunt. So many people. I lost cousins that were my first cousin's children, and so many people.
Right.
And then because I'm a pastor, everybody's looking to me to comfort them through it, to
Sure.
bury them. But they don't understand I'm grieving also because these weren't people distanced away from me. These were my family members.
Right.
These were my up close family members. My mother in law lived with. These were my up close
Right.
family members. So,
Wow. My
um,
condolences to your family. Wow.
yeah, we've been through a
Wow.
lot, but God still is glorified. He still
All
gets
day. All
praise.
day.
We went through that for a reason. He's making us better. We're growing. I don't know all that He's doing. All I know is He's doing,
That's
and
right.
He's working for my good.
You hear that song? He's able.
Hmm.
He's able.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
So that's
Well,
what
yeah,
the Lord allowed.
an incredible story. I thoroughly enjoyed your story, but I have to ask you one more question before you leave.
Hmm.
You got to tell me what's next for DeWayne Harvey.
Oh, what's next? More music.
Okay.
More music from Duane Harvey and Unrestrained Praise is coming back.
Okay.
I got a little twist on some traditional type music, because the music out there is good, and the music that I'm doing with What the Lord Allows is not traditional. My
Right.
whole album has an R&B urban feel, so it's not the traditional stuff. But sometimes you just want to hear some good old hand clapping stuff. So I'm
That's right.
bringing back that choir.
We say some
Oh
hand
my!
clapping and some foot
You
tapping.
say you just can't leave. I mean, we can do all the new music that we want to do. Um, Sunday we were in church. We did some popular songs,
Hmm.
and then I went to. There's a sweet, sweet spirit in this place, and I know that when I tell you it tore up everything in that church. I'm like, see, you
Wow.
got to understand what's going to work and what's going to work all
Absolutely.
the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Uh, those songs don't miss. So you always have to know, and all these new cats who don't know those songs that don't miss, shame on you.
They need to go learn. They need to go
Yeah,
back to the vault, to the library.
shame on you.
Absolutely.
Because there are certain songs that wherever you are, they don't miss.
Right.
Their message, whatever those writers did, their message does not miss.
Right.
They're filled with spirit. And if you can get somebody who has the spirit to deliver those songs, they work every time.
Unbelievable. Incredible.
Yeah. But no,
Incredible.
I'm producing. I have a new artist coming out on the label. She joins me on a couple of tracks on this new album, which will be out the end of the year.
Okay.
Duane Harvey and Friends, What the Lord Allows. That's the new
Okay.
album.
All right.
Be out the end
I'll
of the
write
year.
that
Her
down.
name is Jasmine McClover.
Okay.
She joins me on a couple of tracks, and then I'm producing her single for her, which will be dropping in 2022, the
Okay.
early part of 2022. So that's the first new artist I have. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm bringing back the choir. I'm also producing for a lot of other people who've contacted me that I'm producing singles and
Great.
things for. And also, I'm still working my businesses.
Right.
I It's special because I sold, after years and years of doing healthcare, I sold my healthcare business.
Ah. Okay.
My nursing homes, assisted livings, I sold all of those.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord said, I always wanted, he keeps giving you the desires of your heart. I always wanted to own my own college. And we are one approval in the state of Florida from the Innovative School of Health opening. And that's
Genius.
my own school going from um, associate degrees all the way up to doctorate degrees.
Wow.
And I am excited about that venture. And he told me to leave healthcare and concentrate. I live kind of in two cities. I live in Tallahassee and Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
So I'm developing apartment communities in Jacksonville, Florida, and apartment communities in Tallahassee, Florida. So it's not so much stress on me as it was taking care of all those elderly people.
Right.
But I'm still working the business, still have the school, and I wanted to stay somewhat connected to the elderly population and anybody who needs me. Really,
Sure.
I have a guardianship business that just opened up, where we
Really.
are professional guardians for we're court appointed guardians for people who need guardians, whether it be in the beginning of life,
Mm-hmm.
midlife, or at any time during the life that the court sees fit to appoint a guardian. And I'm
Amazing.
so grateful
See, I
for the
was right when
transition.
I was right when when you first joined the call. I said, you know, when I grow up, I want to be just like you, man. You see.
Transition. And then I have been blessed again.
Okay.
I have a radio show that's getting ready to launch the 1st of June. It's called From Rags to Riches.
Wow.
Your Money Matters. And joining me, who's sponsoring the radio show, is Morgan Stanley. And we're going to be taking you from the beginning to the end on how we as African Americans
Right.
can manage this money and accumulate wealth. So
Brilliant.
I'm excited about that venture from rags to riches.
Well, you know, I am so happy that I had a chance to talk to you. I'm honored that you came on the show. I would love for you to come back and more education. I mean, we meaning everybody, not just black people. Everybody needs to hear your story, and they will. And they need to know that your story is incredible, and you're actually reaching back and pulling people up towards you, which is brilliant, genius. Yeah.
But I need you to do something for me. I need everybody
Absolutely.
who's watching. I
Mhm.
need you to follow me. Go to my website, DeWayneHarvey.com. The website is DeWayneHarvey.com. See
Right.
what's coming up in the life of Duane Harvey. And then you can follow me on Facebook at Duane Harvey at Duane Harvey Music. Duane Harvey at Duane Harvey Music. Or on Twitter at Duane Harvey. Or on Instagram at Duane Harvey. Just follow me. Help me get this message out. We got some more good songs coming. We got another single coming out. It's called the next single that will be coming out is So Much I Can Do.
Okay. From the new album.
From the new album. So
Nice.
Much I
Nice.
Can Do.
Nice.
So I'm excited about that.
Well,
And it's
I want you to do me a favor. When you come back, when you come out with your new single, I'm going to ask you if you can please come back. I enjoyed this conversation. I enjoyed your story, and I cannot wait to hear the next song because, I mean, everything that you're doing is just great. And like you said, God is moving. He's moving.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's moving.
I'd love to come back. Enjoyed the conversation as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you for helping me get out
Oh,
this
no.
wonderful message about what God's doing in my life.
It's my pleasure, and you deserve everything that you got coming to you because, like you said, there's even more coming that you don't even know about.
Exactly.
It's more coming. But I want to thank you. I want to thank the great, I'm going to say the great, like the magician, right? The great Dr. DeWayne Harvey for coming on March 5 Music Podcast. I will put all of your information in the description once we release the podcast. and we got to keep in touch, man, because I would love to help you if you need any help mentoring anybody down in Tallahassee. I'm there. You got me.
All right.
All right.
Sounds great.
You got it. Hold on one second, okay?
Okay.
All right.